Hello, I'm here with Alonso and Christy. Hi. I'm Matt Atchity. We have a lot of movies coming out on home video right in advance of the Oscars because it's Oscar week.
Time to cram!
Right, and really, as much as the Oscars are this celebration, ostensibly, I know Alonso's got different feelings about this, but the Oscars are supposed to be the industry and kind of the highest profile, most respected people in the industry saying what they like the most. It's also kind of turned into this marketing ploy.
No, it was born as a marketing ploy.
Sure.
Why are you so cynical? Why can't it be about the art?
The marketing aspect of it, where it matters for the industry, is that this is the time of year that movies either end up in theaters because they got nominated, or they get another life on home video because of nominations. And we're seeing that play out this week because there are a bunch of movies that you can now watch in the comfort of your own home, even though the cinematographers and directors would probably prefer you to be in the theater.
As would the film critics.
As would the film critics, especially if you are Paul Thomas Anderson and
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, right. Those screeners were, what was the joke you said?
Oh, yeah, somebody joked on Twitter, and I thought it was a real thing until I checked mine. It said, I opened my Dunkirk screener, and there was a note inside telling me to go see it projected.
Yeah.
Which, you know, somebody was just telling me that they watched it at home, and I was like, oh.
Right, so if you do that, sit real close to the screen.
Yes.
I watched it on the plane. I don't get it. I don't get the big whoop about it.
So I'm going to start with Shape of Water, which is the top nomination getter this year with what, 13? 13 nominations for Guillermo del Toro's fantasy about a mute janitor in the 1950s who falls in love with a fish man. It is premiering on digital streaming on February 27th. So if you have not yet seen this gorgeous love story, I mean, yes, it would look nicer in a theater, but if you have a kick-ass home theater, then you can just enjoy it there. Sally Hawkins is great, and she's nominated. So is Richard Jenkins and Octavia Spencer, and tons of tech awards. It's beautifully put together, and I think, you know, a sweet exploration of outsiders, and it taps into every avenue of Guillermo del Toro's movie love, from silent films to musicals to monster movies. And yeah, it's now it's going to be on iTunes, so check it out.
Also, there's fish sex.
There is fish sex.
Okay.
Spoiler.
Okay. There's also a little bit of controversy that Guillermo del Toro says is actually a big nothing burger, in that there's a lawsuit about somebody saying that idea has been stolen. And in a recent press event, del Toro says, oh, yeah, that guy's full of it, and perhaps it's somebody else's campaign to knock our movie down.
Well, that always happens.
There's always a whisper campaign. Yeah, Paul Zindel's estate says that he stole the story from, I forget the name of the play. But, you know, there are only so many stories out there. And Del Toro says he didn't see the play. I believe him. I'd never heard of that play until all this happened. I've heard of Paul Zindel, obviously.
Right. But, and we've all heard The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which the fish man totally resembles, which is like a glamorous, high-tech version of that.
Yes, and remember, it's not a ripoff. It's an homage.
It's an homage. So I'll pick Call Me By Your Name, which is also a movie that you should not watch at home.
But you can.
But you shouldn't. But you could, and yeah, again, unless you have.
I don't know, maybe you should watch it at home.
I think you can go to Italy instead, and you know the house is for sale. You can just go to Italy and go visit the $2.7 million.
Really?
I gotta get that Powerball.
The villa is it's only like $2.7 million. It's totally doable if we all go in on it together.
Oh, sure, let's pool.
There's time. So yeah, this is my favorite movie of the year. It is swooningly romantic. It is a love story, a first love story between Timothée Chalamet, who was a 17-year-old, precocious, brilliant teenager in the 80s, staying at his family's villa in northern Italy, and his father, who is a professor, brings in a grad student every year to work with him and study with him and help him with his research. And this year it is an American, played by Armie Hammer. And they kind of have a spark from the beginning that is tense, and they're kind of teasing and pushing each other, and clearly it is love. They fall in love, and it's gorgeous and swoony, and I cried like 4 times. This movie has many, many Oscar nominations, including Best Picture and not director, though, right? Did I get director? But Timothée was nominated.
Actor, adapted screenplay, and song.
Which, yes, I totally expect that James Ivory will win for his screenplay. He is 89 years old. It's amazing that, you know, he is Ivory of Merchant Ivory. He's like half of a whole genre unto itself. Has never won an Oscar before. So it is definitely his time. So it will win for the screenplay. I don't think Timmy's going to win Best Actor. It'd be amazing if he did.
I would love that. I got to do a Q&A with him this past week.
He was
very charming.
Did he rap?
He did not rap. I did not ask him to. But I think his performance is terrific. But, you know, he's young. He'll have other opportunities.
He will.
I want to give a shout out to the other person who was not nominated. I mean, in addition to, like, Armie Hammer and Michael Stuhlbarg, who were great in this. The cinematographer, Sayumbu Muktipram.
So beautiful.
The Thai cinematographer, he shot the gorgeous Cannes Film Festival winner, Uncle Boonmi, who can recall his past lives.
A favorite of your husband's.
A favorite of my husband's. And I think really, you know, people think, oh, it's a movie set in Italy, so of course it's going to look great because all you have to do is point the camera.
Nope.
No. I think it's really lush, and it really, the way they do the sort of memory flashback stuff kind of plays with it's you know, they play around with things like with negatives and stuff to kind of tie into the way we sort of hazily remember things. And
it's not perfectly lush. It's sort of like imperfect and kind of tactile in its lushness.
Yes.
And a lot of great stuff with like shadows and like interiors and the darkness of the hallways.
Absolutely.
But also, you're not going to get all that if you watch it on TV.
You'll get some of it if you have a
Try.
nice set. But if you can't see it in the theater, which is where the Lord intended,
I would
then
recommend,
get it on iTunes.
I would recommend that as a double feature with all the money in the world and like just, you know, having a weird holiday in southern Italy or northern Italy.
Yes.
So my movie for this week is Darkest Hour. It is another movie that's been nominated for an Academy Award, most specifically for Gary Oldman as Best Actor. I think he's one of the favorites to
He's
get it.
probably going to win.
He's very much
probably
your
gonna
favorite.
get it, right? I think he's going to win. It's a terrific performance. He really embodies that. It's you know, you can't say enough about how great Oldman is. There's some also other really good. I think Kristen Scott Thomas is really good as Churchill's wife in this. I really like this movie a lot. It's an interesting piece to have watched right as the time that Dunkirk came out because it covers some of the same. Events.
The Dunkirk trilogy last year was Finest Hour. Or Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, and Their Finest.
Yeah. So I like this a lot, and it's available on home video as well as streaming, so you can watch that